Good morning, everyone. How are you this beautiful day that the Lord has made? I'm Karen Jane Casey on the podcast Turn to God with Karen. And every Monday, the episodes are Hope and Faith Journey. This is where we find encouragement through our struggles, through those challenges, those really hard periods of time. We find hope for healing, always knowing that we can turn to God about anything. Well, in this month, we will be looking at 5 fictional stories found in Stand With Your Armor On. Here we look at daily conflicts we've each probably encountered or watched someone else struggling through. When looking as a third person, we can glean much with an objective perspective. We'll find ways that the Lord provides in every situation we face. And some of these stories contain a cautionary tale with believable consequences and outcomes depending upon the decisions that were made. Like I said, it's an anthology of daily conflicts that are happening in the world today. Today's episode title is Relationship Issues. This relates to the third story, When Will Justice Prevail? Touching on serious issues in today's world. We're aware of human trafficking, sex trafficking, but in this story we have a young woman acting out because of sexual abuse of a relative. That happens, folks. This type of scenario happens far more than we care to admit. And many times the tragedy of it is compounded with one or both of the parents of the victim not being willing to hear the truth. So the victim is left on their own with it, to deal with it, maybe still in it. In this story, a young girl has fallen victim to rape by a relative. She tries to tell her mother, but she calls her a liar. The girl's father doesn't know anything about it. This girl does not have a healthy confidence in herself as a result. And she becomes accustomed to getting attention because she dresses sexy. I just want to stop right there. How many times have we judged a young girl by the way she dresses and acts out? We don't know her story. What happens? A predatory young man in her high school tricks her into coming to what he calls a party where she's raped and seriously injured. Not only that, she realizes that she's pregnant, and from the start she believes that she's on her own with decisions to be made into her motherhood. Gallantly, her father does step in for her support, not only regarding the crime of her uncle once he finds out he absolutely believes her. Once he's aware of it, he also is there for her through this recent rape and the criminal charges and everything. He stands with her through the trial process and provides her with a secure home for her baby. And her father turns out to be an awesome grandfather. Well, can I say, the story doesn't always unfold that way. It isn't always a good ending. Do you know of a young woman in your life, maybe a family member, a relative, or even a neighbor, who needs to receive love and support because of her situation? Maybe she's acting out. Can you be non-judgmental? Can you set aside any judgments about her and offer loving kindness instead? Can you help her find the resources that she may need for help? She may be pregnant. Maybe there are women's places where she can live. Help her find the resources she needs. Maybe you're a parent who chose not to believe the terrible story told to you. You don't want to believe the bad stuff about your brother or whatever. Can you have a change of heart and at least be supportive instead to that victim? And I want to say this. There is always a desperate need for help behind any tragic secrets that are told. There's always a desperate need for help behind the tragic secrets that are told. Well, I hope my sharing this story today has encouraged you to consider supporting someone you know, maybe within your own family, who has suffered abuse of any kind. And sweeping it under the rug or stuffing it in the closet, that does not resolve the problem. It only compounds it. Bringing the sin to light is the only way that recovery can start happening. Be someone that they can talk to, lean on, and pray with them. Help them find the resources they need. My website has a section with resources for those suffering in or leaving abuse. Go to KarenJaneCasey.com. And also I want to share this with you. The National Domestic Violence Hotline number is this: 1-800-799-7233. SAFE. That may not be the exact place that you need to go, but they will be able to help you find the resource that you do need. Please, along your own journey, I encourage you to read and study Ephesians chapter 6. And I'm going to read to you verses 10 through 12 in the New Living Translation. The whole armor of God. A final word. Be strong in the Lord and His mighty power. Put on all of God's armor so that you will be able to stand firm against all strategies of the devil. For we are not fighting against flesh and blood enemies, but against evil rulers and authorities of the unseen world, against mighty powers in the dark world, and against evil spirits in the heavenly places. I hope this storyline has whet your interest in tackling the 5 stories in Stand with Your Armor On. So thank you for joining me today in this episode of Turn to God with Karen. This is Karen Jane Casey, author, speaker, podcaster, domestic violence victim advocate, and ambassador for Christ. Stay tuned for Turn to God with Karen every Monday morning at 6 o'clock Eastern Standard Time for Hope and Faith Journey, where we talk about overcoming challenges. Wednesday's episodes are Sword of the Spirit, and Friday we have Karen's Book Corner. I invite you to give me your comments, your suggestions. Any feedback is always welcome. And you can give that to me most easily through my website, KarenJaneCasey.com. And at the top is a contact page where you can reach me. When you go to my website, you'll also see pertinent information and resources about domestic violence. Also, you'll see my books, my blogs, my podcasts. I have a series of fiction books, Standing Through Storms, and my series of nonfiction books, Faith and Hope Journey. If you've read and also now I have a new line of children's books under a different author name, and that's also on that website. If you've read and enjoyed any of my books, if they've evoked positive change in any way, encouraged you, given you hope for healing, I want to know about it. Well, thank you and God bless.